But anyways, next on the list here is Toast. What do you have for us?
I got nothing because that's what this series is. I'm kidding. It's all right. I actually kind of like it. So I got. I don't. I'm never gonna read that that
All right,
Japanese title.
I'll
You
read it.
you
I'll read it.
say it.
Yeah. 老後に備えて異世界で 8, 万枚の金貨を貯めます。Saving 80,000
Yes,
gold in
words.
another world for my retirement. This is a light novel. Is it a web novel? It's definitely got to be a web novel original, right?
Oh, it's a light
Probably a web
novel.
novel original.
It's on
Probably another not
Shosetsu.
okay. Yeah, it's not okay. Has a bunch of pretty famous voice actors: Jun Fukuyama, Maeda Kaori, Naga Erika,
Why does
Horisa
Jun
Kenyu.
Fukuyama always voice a dead guy?
Bro, he's gotta do the comedy. He's been really like heavy on like a comedic stints these days. I think like the one of the only like really main line, like main cast, heroic, strong like voice role that he's done recently is pretty much the Code Geass stuff, like the later,
I
like
mean,
the
even
more modern Code
Lelouch has
Geass.
got a funny voice when you think about
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Now even like older Lelouch is like okay, whatever. But I think now he's pretty much fully on the comedy bend. He is a clown at the circus now. So I don't know, man. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah.
so 80,000 coins in another world. It's about this chick named Mitsuha who I think gets pushed off a cliff in Japan. I don't know. And she's like, "Oh, I don't want to die," and then she somehow connects to this mysterious ethereal energy dude and steals a part of his powers, and that's how she has the ability to travel between worlds. I guess something like that.
Mhm.
It's weird. It's like whatever you want to call him God, sure. It's like, oh, God is giving. They're trying to explain how she gets her isekai powers by saying, "Oh, when you fell off a cliff, your what is it? Your mental energy of not wanting to die somehow called my spirit into being, and you somehow
What?
stole a part of my power." It was something weird like that. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
when I was traveling the multiverse, because I'm looking for excitement. Your will to live somehow like held on, like called me and stole a part of my power, something like that. And that's yeah,
Okay.
sure. Let's call it an elder god, like Cecilion says. But yeah, and that's how she got the ability to transfer herself between worlds. So she falls off the cliff. She gets into isekai. She talks to some chick, but she can't speak the language and whatever.
Mm.
So whatnot saves her, and then when she gets attacked by wolves again, that same feeling of oh, I don't want to die, she somehow gets transported. She talks to the alien dude, and he explains her powers before before she gets transported to her world, and she gets some she steals some stuff from her brother because apparently the brother is I don't know I don't know how to describe him. Would he be the actual insert character of the typical isekai protagonist, you could say? Because a lot of her motivation in the beginning is spurred on by what her brother said. It's like, oh, my brother did all of this and this. Oh, I should mention that Mitsuha's entire family died in a car accident or whatever. So
Mm.
I guess that's why she has a strong feeling of wanting to live because she's like the last member of her family remaining. And yeah, like Cecilion says, her brother is basically her great sage, if you want to put it in that way, her all-knowing
Uh,
handbook of how to handle any situation. Because she's like, oh, what would Onichan do in this situation? He's like, oh, this is an isekai. Make sure to use
do
your
you think?
cheat power to his absolute like maximum. She's like, okay. And then she has like, oh, remember this, Miss? Huh? This is my cool slingshot. It can fire metal pellets that are strong as what 20 freaking oh god as Vash's gun because it's 22s, and it's like, oh, I remember this. Remember this, Mitsuha? This is a folding knife. It's perfect as as a present for a father giving it to their son, and she's like, "Oh, thanks, Oni-chan, even though you're dead." That's Jun Fukuyama, by the way. He's voiced by Jun Fukuyama, so he's the
Do you
all-knowing
think
Oni-chan.
this is actually an interesting this topic where do you think that there's supposed to be a self insert in this?
That is,
Because
I would say, the self-insert is definitely the Oni-chan character, but
yeah, but
but
well, in general, because it's like because a lot of these male authors, these fanfic authors, not okay authors, are writing these series, these isekai series where the girl is sent off to some random land, right? And it's not like really an ultimate game thing. It's more just like she's struggling, and her like objective is to make a bunch of money and retire, right? There's been a billion of these at this point, right? Is this supposed to be this is this supposed to be sort of like a power fantasy kind of like, oh, like I would if I had my adventure, I would totally do this with my Japanese Nihongonese knowledge. Is that supposed to be what it is, you think?
I
Or
would
do you think
say so
because
because if we're gonna let's go down that route. This is the you want to bring it that way. This is the author's first isekai, really,
uh-huh.
because they have, from my knowledge, three. This is their first one that they wrote, being the 80,000 Gold in Other Worlds. You might
Do they draw the other
recognize
stuff?
no. This is their writing. You might recognize the other two. One, the second one in order of I guess publication is Didn't I say to make my abilities average in the next life? If you remember that anime from a
Yes,
few years ago,
yes.
yeah, that's the same author, and one that's in the same vein as this one, and you know it's going to get an anime soon because it's kind of goes hand in hand with this one, 80K Gold. They're always like promoted together, at least manga wise. I'm talking
Mhm.
about the I Shall Survive Using Potions.
Right.
So
Yeah,
Richard
I'm
Fisher's
always kind of
another girl
curious.
character.
I'm always curious as to like why suddenly these male care like writers like try to aim for again the power fantasy and like the almost like self insert in a sense, as you said. But then while they're doing that, they also just create these girl characters. I guess in a sense, it's kind of like you know how in some like MMOs, there are some like guys like picking the girl avatar, the female avatar, right? Is that kind of
Yeah, and they would be
you think
correct.
it's kind of similar?
I
Yeah,
mean,
and
yeah,
it would
he's
be
all
correct.
I kind of want to argue against that, but it's not. It's he's right, you know. It's like, oh, we've had enough of the boring isekai protagonist, black-haired funny man. Let's make it a chick, and it's like, oh,
A cute, yeah,
suddenly I'm
yeah,
more interested, and it's like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, man, Bofuri's pretty good, you know.
yeah, yeah. But I'm just mainly trying to find a reason for it. Like I'm perfectly willing to be
I mean,
wrong or whatever.
that's
I just yeah,
pretty much the reason, and
yeah,
I'm not uh, like I gotta respect that hustle.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
respect hustle because truth be told, that's kind of why I like Mitsuha better than other boring isekai protagonists where they're trying to be the funny man because it's like, ha ha ha. Oh, it's a girl. They're more interesting now, and it's like, yeah, yeah, true. But yeah, story wise, basically, so far there's 3 episodes. Mitsuha is doing whatever she wants. Uh,
Okay.
she got her powers. She got her, and then she's like, oh. Now that I have the ability to travel between worlds, and because my family died, I need to find a job so I can live, I can live my retirement happily. And I don't want to work or whatever, because, now that I got these powers, Japan's too boring. So she makes the she makes a note to say like, so what if for some reason my world traveling powers goes away, I need enough money to survive in either world if I get stuck in like either the Isekai world or Japan. So she comes up with the number of was it 2 billion yen? Yeah, it's like two
Mhm.
billion yen, which is what 15 million ish in American money.
Two billion yen? I think that's
It's like 15 million in
yeah, that'd be
US, right?
about 15
Roughly that.
million. Yeah, 15 to 20, depending on. what the yen's
inflation,
at.
whatnot.
At
But yeah,
depending on the global
right now,
economy
that's like, you
on
know,
Earth,
yeah, right now
yeah.
that's about like 10 US dollars. So
and then yeah, when she beat up some wolves when she came back to her world and beat them up with a kitchen knife and her slingshot, she got some money and she's like, "Oh, what is the currency exchange?" And then some stuff happens, so that's how she calculates 2 billion yen to 80,000 gold coins. I think.
Mhm.
No, 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 no. It's no, I'm getting it mixed up. It's when she goes. I'll talk about it later. But yeah, long story short, she gets gold and she goes to a shady military PMC because she's got gold from another world. So how could you turn that into money over here well, yeah, in the Earth? Because not Japan, because her power is that she can teleport anywhere that she remembers, whether it be the Isekai world or Earth. So it's kind of cool. As she cheats, she's like, "Oh, I want to talk to this military PMC that's in, I think, South America." And she's obviously hasn't been to South America, so she goes to Google Maps and looks it up. That's how she
Okay.
teleports there. So that's pretty cool. I respect that. So the conversion is one gold coin is $200. So yeah, that would make sense. So 80,000 times 200, isn't that 16 million? That's 2 billion yen. And that's the name of the game.
So yeah, so what does she do in the other
Oh right, I
world
should
mainly
mention it.
to get the coins?
Because it's the isekai world. It's backwater. It's like in medieval times. She was like,
They
oh,
don't know
I'm
what
gonna.
rice or mayo or anything like that is. They don't
Well,
have proper like Japanese bathrooms.
it's like, oh, you're trying to light a fire. Like, oh, by like rubbing sticks together. I don't know. It's like, oh, would it be more convenient if you had matches? She's like, oh,
Yeah,
your bathrooms stink. Wouldn't it be more convenient if you had
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
deodorant and stuff? So
Yeah, or
she's
like
yeah,
gonna.
but like they
make
can't
shampoos and
reproduce.
soap.
But the problem is like how would they reproduce that? Like,
Well, and that's how that's the thing, Dark. That's how she's gonna make money. There's only one option. She has
Yeah,
to
damn,
open up a goods
the
store.
monopoly.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. The
Okay,
whole thing.
Have you ever
I'm
bought
going by like
miso
bookworm
before?
logic where she was like, okay, but we have to figure out how to like make this stuff here.
Why would you need to
Yeah, yeah,
make it
That's
when she can
true. She doesn't
travel?
have to
The
make
whole
it. She
thing
can
is
just
a
fucking
yeah.
yeah. There are usually two variants, just as again Toast is sort of pointing out, where like one is sort of the one that Dark is alluding to, where they have to that's the older sort of more standard type of web novels where the protagonist with armed with his diverse area of knowledge, such as like, oh, I attended a soap making club when I was in high school, or some bullshit like that, right? They use that skill to, find all the ingredients in medieval wherever land, isekai land, and make that soap and become the richest person on that planet, right? So that's one line of usually that sort of literary structure. And the other one is sort of what Toast is mentioning, where they just have the shop. They can get stuff, or they can open up the RPG menu and order it by using their points or whatever, and they get a box of Japanese miso, or or a bag of Japanese miso, or a box of matches and like Zippo lighter fuel, and wow, that does magical stuff. And they sell it for like 1 billion coins. So those usually are two variants. But yeah,
Yeah, that's
for
the thing,
Toast is saying
Spires.
that.
She's all like, "Oh, you see this cool knife? I'm gonna sell it for this amount of money." But little
Yeah,
do they know, I just traveled to the 100 yen store and got this knife, and it's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. The
oh,
classic, the classic.
yeah. So that's
Are there any? Is there any sort of like, because one of the very common arcs that authors think of when they set up the structure is the usual, oh, some bad guy got a hold of one of the items that I sold and they're doing bad things with it. And so now
mm,
they have to go through this like entire arc where they have to
oh,
retrieve the bad item that they got, the item that the bad person got, right? Do you think there's any sort of thing that's gonna be like that in the story?
As someone who read this series, I'm kind of saying no because
Okay.
what is there? I don't recall there being any magic in this series. Kind of same with the potion series because those he basically wrote two of the same similar series.
Mhm.
But we can talk about the potion one later. I don't remember any magic in the series. This is way later in the manga, but the equivalent they have is was it flintlocks? And
Mhm.
it's like, oh, they can't replicate flintlocks, and Mitsuha knows not to. Well, Mitsuha's a pretty smart character. Like, she does some funny things. It's like, oh, I believe in episode 3, she's like, oh, I ran away from the village, and how do I make money? I know. Let's become chummy friends with the duke or the baron or whatever of this land. And so
Mhm.
her strategy was she bent back to Japan and dressed herself up as like a fancy noble.
Noble. Yeah.
Well, I think she was just like wearing like a riding coat or whatever, like the riding outfit, and she's like, "Oh," and then she falls unconscious near a horse carriage, so they pick her up. She's like, "Oh, I've never seen these types of clothes before. Where are you from?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm Mitsuha von Baron or whatever. I'm from the land of Japan." It's like, "Oh, I've never heard of this country before, and her clothes are so cool. So she must be a noble." And I was like, "That's cool." So like that's kind of smart. I will say in a way that she, even though her power is super overpowered, and that like she can teleport instantly from the Isekai world to Japan, like anywhere in Japan,
Yes.
because well, not Japan, anywhere on Earth, I should say, because apparently as long as she has a she can Google it, she can go there,
Mhm.
and there's like no time lag. It's like a 1-to-1. Usually when there's a like isekai traveling, there between worlds, there's some sort of time delay. Apparently here it's
Mhm.
not. So whenever she gets into danger, she can just teleport to her house and be like, "I'm cool," and then come back later, and it's like, "Oh, your ability is super overpowered." So
Yeah, I mean, usually those like the worst part in my opinion is that whenever a character has teleportation capabilities like that as the core like initial base skill set of an isekai, you know that series is already fucked and it's like but the funny thing is, the author usually makes the character not even use the teleport power as much as they could to abuse it. You get what I'm saying, right? It's like they usually could abuse it way more, but the character explicitly is like, yeah, I use it like once or twice a day, and that's about it. I'm like, you could literally be, like teleporting around the world and like fucking shit up right now.
and I mean, and that's kind of what I kind of like Mitsuha. She knows how overpowered her power is, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do whatever I want."
Mhm.
And so, I mean, that was in episode, I believe in episode 2, when she was like, "How do I how do I convert this into money?" That's where she talks to the PMC group in South America, and she's like, "Here, I'll pay you this in gold because I'm just a sudden girl that wandered over here. I also might be a noble because
Mhm.
she's tricking everyone into thinking that she's a noble, so she pays the PMC with gold, and then they give her lessons on firearms. So like, oh, here's a Beretta 93R. Got burst. It's got burst fire, and here's a Smith and Wesson 40. So I was like, oh, here's some fancy gun knowledge. I
Mhm.
guess the author. This is another. I guess it's another self insert from the author because what her brother's like. Oh, her brother was like he liked isekai and survivalist stuff. So I guess he also liked guns.
Mhm.
So maybe the author also likes airsoft. Like, oh, let's bring in some guns. So now Mitsu has guns. Like she paid him money. So like, okay. PMC's what is it? No questions asked kind of deal. So like, you got this mysterious gold? Don't worry, we'll convert it. We won't say a thing. You want some guns? Okay, here's some
Yeah,
gun
yeah, like
training.
the pawn store is usually it's like they're just like, yeah, you can do literally whatever you want. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what this series is going to be. She's going to pawn. She's going to make money in the Isekai, sell it back on Earth, and that's how this series is gonna go. If
Yeah.
this is 12 episodes, I don't know how far they're gonna get. There's gonna be at least one major battle where she pulls some absolute bullshit with her power. I don't know if we're gonna get that far. I hope we will, cause that's gonna be funny when it appears. I'm not gonna spoil what happens,
So do you like
but
the
it's pretty.
series or what is it?
Yeah, I kind of do. It's like
Okay.
I like how
So to you, is it a guilty pleasure for you? I'm
I
kind of asking because of your
guess
tone. Okay.
because like like what you said earlier about isekai protagonists usually try to keep their powers under wraps. Not
Yeah.
Mitsuha. She's like, I'll do
Right.
whatever I want. My
So it's a little bit
family's
more natural.
my family's dead. I don't care. There's nothing holding
Mhm.
me back. So
Right. Right. Right.
I like the way she uses her powers. It's definitely different from other isekai protagonists.
Mhm.
So yeah, I guess this is why this and the potion one is more popular. I believe did the what is it? My abilities average, was that localized by Yen Press?
I'm not sure. I think
Yeah, okay, it did.
might have
No,
been.
but not Yen Press, but Seven Seas. So, but yeah, apparently this author's pretty good because all three of their series so far have been localized into English. So
Okay, well,
you can check them out if you want to.
let's put an asterisk on that. Just because
Don't
a
worry,
series has been localized
it's
doesn't mean that it's
fire.
good.
There's a pedigree now. They were on Shosetsu, and now they've been
Yeah,
localized into English by.
once something's been localized or made into an anime, it just automatically means it's good. That's actually what it means. Just like how Redo of Healer is very good because it's been
It's a pedigree.
yeah,
But yeah, who
yeah.
who made this series? I don't know. What's Felix Film? I don't know what they did. Nekopara? Hell yeah.
God damn it.
MF Ghost? I'm not looking forward to MF Ghost at all. That's next. That's later on this year. Um.
Anything else?
They did a Isekai Picnic or Urasekai Picnic, not Isekai.
Oh, that series fucking sucked.
Yeah, it
Donkey
was a
Kong.
letdown.
God.
Um. It looks series itself looks really good. Comparable to the light novel art. It's like pretty accurate. Also to the manga. The manga is pretty accurate too. Character wise, Mitsuha's the only character and she's interesting because she knows how to bullshit her way through stuff.
Hmm.
That's cool.
How much of a cast is there in general? Because I feel like
There's
if you're with this sort of series, there is not going to be that much of a cast to begin with, right? Like a that much of a permanent cast, like constant rotating. Like she might visit people, being like, "Oh, I might go to the inn and like talk to somebody," but how many people are like constantly going to walk around with her, right? Especially since she's like
she
half of
could do.
her shtick is like teleporting everywhere and solving problems instantly, right?
I guess out of the main cast, there's Mitsuha, and then the I want to say the rich family that she cons in like episode 3. They're reoccurring because she likes their daughter. So like and it's it's they're kind of her way to get money because you need in order to open a shop and make sure her goods are legit. You need social standing. So she uses that family to promote herself.
Uh-huh.
So I guess you could call them the recurring characters too, but it's mostly Misuha, and I guess
Yeah.
they're really they're really side characters to her, and they're not even really that important overall. It's mostly
Yeah,
about her.
that's what I would suspect, just because again of how the structure is, where Mitsuha's sort of generally quote unquote running around and solving problems. She's not really even creating a base for herself, right? From what I can tell
No,
of you talking about the series.
her base is that town, and She uses
Yeah,
those that
she has that town, but it's not like one of those like farming series, right? Where the entire point of a farming isekai, most of the time, is to expand that sort of base of operations. Is to build that sort of quote unquote cast, and have the hero do like more and more shit, and then he gets more a bigger town, it becomes a village, a dragon comes in, they get more money, it gets involved with a king, what, like that's the entire point, right? Making bigger and bigger. There's none of that in this series specifically, right? Like there's a place she comes back to, but she doesn't like try to actively just make it bigger and bigger and bigger, right?
she has her shop there, if that's what you're asking. Like her
Okay.
Mitsuha's shop, her that's where her
But
shop
like
is.
her point isn't to like make the shop necessarily like bigger and bigger and bigger. It's just to sell her stuff and then off she goes to solve problems, right?
No, you're thinking of the other series. That's the potion series.
Okay.
The potion series were like, oh, if it gets too big, then I'm running away because that's crazy.
Uh,
The main character, she's like, oh, the nobles are taking the street. Screw that. I'm moving to another country. No, here Mitsuha's like, oh no, this is my base. It's with this family, so it's
okay.
Mitsuha's general shopper. I don't care, but yeah, my memory is super hazy, but I think this family adopts her. So like because like, oh, you don't know where you are, we'll adopt you. So yeah, they're this is where her base is. That's what separates this from the potion one.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess this is her base. She lives there because you need a stable thing. But yeah, this series it is I would say a guilty pleasure. Whatever. Am I gonna watch it to the full? Yeah, I gotta. Will it go anywhere? No, not really. Not in 12 episodes? I don't think so.
Okay.
Maybe to what I said, the first major battle. Like, oh, we're gonna like give us your goods, and she's like, no, and we're gonna come in with dragons and stuff. And it's like, oh, you got dragons? Well, I got something better. And it's like, damn, she really went there. But yeah, what am I gonna rate this? I guess you know what? I'll be fair and unbiased. All right, I'm gonna rate this an 8 out of 10. Get it?
Okay.
Because 8 times 10 is 80.
Yes, I
80,000 gold
understand.
coins. Ha! But yeah, I would rate this more of a comedy series. It's more satirical of an isekai than a actual
It's not
isekai.
satirical. Let's okay. Let's not give it that much respect. It's not
It's
satirical. It's just the same thing. It's it's
what's
not
the
making a commentary on anything.
it's a social
It's
commentary
Yeah,
on
that's kind
how
of yeah, that's a
isekai
bit of like
protagonists
a
are.
way too big of a word, I feel like, to
But
attribute.
I think the hat is a little bit bigger than the person you're putting it on. Just a little
It
bit. It
it's
is a
tongue.
cowboy hat. You're putting it on a midget.
It's hey, I like midgets. Leave them alone. It's tongue in cheek, I guess. It's like it's like nudge nudge wink wink. But yeah, it's a pretty alright series. Don't you dare take this seriously, because just watch Mitsuha's funny antics, whatnot,
Okay.
and prepare for the potion one, because these two they're similar enough. The main characters are similar enough in like their wittiness and like how the way they abuse their powers, but they have
Uh-huh.
drastically different goals in a way. Well, not really. They both want to retire and live happily, but like one does it this way, like, oh, I'm gonna
Hmm.
set up a shop, and then the other one just wreaks havoc wherever she goes. Like you think Mitsuha wreaks havoc with her powers just because she can teleport? The other one with her potions does way more outlandish stuff. But yeah, check it out if you want. Just don't take it seriously.
Okay. All right. Well, then, pretty good. Yeah. Thank you very much, Toast. Given that this is, sorry, sniffles. Saving 80,000 gold in another world for my retirement. Again, 老後に備えた異世界で8万枚の金貨を貯めます。This is a Naruke novel about a girl who goes to an isekai, tries to become rich, use the power of teleportation and being able to go back to her own, home world to essentially cause to taking advantage of that and making herself become super powerful and rich. If you
Inflation, oversaturation of the economy. What is that? I've never heard of it.
yeah, just pour the items in. Yeah. But yeah, anyways, if you do like that sort of thing, please do check this out. Done by, again, I think you said Studio Felix is the series.
Yes.
So yeah. All right. Well, again, thank you very much, Toast.